Hello everybody, and welcome to the Daily Splat for the 27th of January 2018. Yesterday, here in Australia, was the national public holiday known as Australia Day. And for those of you that have been keeping up with current events, we're in a bit of a disagreement at the moment about whether or not it should be held on that date. The largest rallies in protest of the current date of the national holiday took place in places such as Melbourne and Sydney yesterday. Essentially, it boils down to this. Australia's national holiday is currently celebrated on the January the 26th, which is the same day, but take it back a couple of hundred years, when Australia's first colonial fleet arrived in New South Wales and set up shop. And by set up shop, some would say colonised the current country we have, and others would say perpetrated a genocide upon the indigenous people. Now, because of these two viewpoints, there is some division and difference about whether or not Australia Day should be held on the date that it's currently held. Australia Day has been moved around the calendar a fair bit. The current January 26th holiday date itself has only really been followed since 1994, I believe, although it has been held on this day previously. The last 20 odd years or so, it's been locked in January the 26th. A big movement currently happening is people saying change the date, perhaps finding a more appropriate date. Personally, I'm quite fond of changing it to May the 8th so that it sounds like mate, which is a very Australian word. But the idea of changing the date has got me thinking about potential ways that we could rectify this, and I have a solution. I'm not going to lie, you might be considered somewhat impractical, but it could also be quite fun. So, this is the solution. Next year, when January the 26th rolls around, we have the Australian Day national holiday. At the end of that day, there is a massive tombola, and inside it are all the other days of the year. And essentially, let's say the Australian of the year for that year gets to spin the tombola, put their hand in, and pull out a date. And the date they pull out, October the 7th. Great. Next year, it's held on October the 7th. Then when we get to October the 7th, they pull out a date, and we keep doing it like that. So it's literally changed the date every year. Some drawbacks. Obviously, it's been pointed out to me by people who I've suggested this to, that this would cause some level of chaos for businesses, for people who might have organised their wedding for that day. And you know what? I think it's just the luck of the draw. I think having the Australian national holiday being able to be celebrated any day of the year, I think is quite exciting. I do think perhaps there could be some provisos were you to implement this properly. For example, Australia Day probably shouldn't clash with any pre-existing holidays recognised in the Australian calendar, so it doesn't clash with, let's say, Christmas, Easter, Halloween, the Queen's birthday, Anzac Day. Those sorts of days are off limits. And I also think, just for the sake of organising, because someone might go, but Stephen, what if you had December the 31st in one year and then the date that was pulled out was January the 1st or 2nd? I think maybe there should be an exclusion window where you can't have Australia Day anywhere from the, let's say, December the 20th until 2 weeks after Christmas. So those days are right out, so that you have at least a month. And it could be fun having 2 Australia Days in one summer. Would be great. Maybe. Obviously, this is a bit of a silly suggestion, but I just thought it might be quite fun to have a literal change the date every year. And I think the multicultural society that is modern Australia is actually something that is worth celebrating. I do have reservations about some of the ways that the past of this country is celebrated. One actually serious suggestion, which I thought was maybe a better way of going forward, is somebody suggesting that you still have the holiday on January the 26th, but as you do with things like Anzac Day or Remembrance Day, you have your minute silence in the morning in your services for the people who were killed or hurt or just generally damaged by colonisation, and then you can still have your afternoon of fun and frivolity if you wish. It's a very serious issue and lots of people have opinions, and I welcome you to leave yours in the comments below. Be nice to one another. I think ultimately, you know, having a polite discourse is probably better than just shouting at each other and calling each other names, but you know, I can't help it if you choose to do that. Anyway, that's all for today. If you have any thoughts on Australia Day, the holiday, or anything relating to it, then you can let us know as well in the comments. But that's all for today, and until tomorrow, bye!